Malfurion's eyes are blue now, I guess. Yeah, and I read in a, I think it was like a dev post or something that, I think maybe it was by Denuser. Maybe I'm wrong. I thought it was by Denuser. Maybe I'm incorrect, but I thought this post that I'd read was written by him, so maybe that there could be something there to look at. I'd have to find it again, but it claims, I believe, that because of the time spent in Ardenweald by Malfurion, and because he took the place of Ysera, that's similar to Ysera, he was kind of bound to the Winter Queen and thus would now possess some of those powers, which would imply that Malfurion is no longer just a druid of life. Or a druid of just the dream. He also commands dark druidic powers, I would think now, more akin to what would be wielded through the powers of Ardenweald. And I think that energy, if I'm not mistaken, was of particular interest to the Drust, which are people that wield like this dark druidic kind of Wiccan magic, which is interesting to think about. What happened in the dream that allowed Azeroth to speak to Thrall, Jaina, and Anduin? I think that it's a combination of Sargeras stabbing the world with what I believe to be now a largely anima-infused blade that also had the soul essence of the titanic god of death, Argus, inside of it, stabbing it into the world, producing Azerite, an energy of creation and destruction. I think that that was the first big step. That had to happen for any of this other shit to happen. The Jailer's whole plan hinges on utilizing Azerite. Okay? This power was going to activate all the Zareths and rewrite reality. So I think that power, that infusion, what Sargeras did was actually not, and I think he knew this probably, maybe he didn't, but I think that he knew that the blade wouldn't kill Azeroth. I think the point is that Sargeras' blade did something more akin to reverse soul splitting. He did a soul fusion using his blade. He reverse engineered the effects of a Mournblade and made a vessel for Argus' energy that he then plunged into Azeroth, into her heart, immediately spreading all of the energy through the bloodstream of Azeroth, fusing them together, hence creating Azerite as we know it. There's even evidence to support this because Azerite used to be a golden liquid that when exposed to the air would harden and turn almost like a blood red. It was not until the sword met Azeroth which the energy manifested in the way that it does now. We then learn in the book Before the Storm, when Sylvanas is holding Azerite, that she felt as though she was a goddess of creation and destruction, and she had never understood how deeply those two things were intertwined. That's literally written in a canonical book. That's fucking insane, considering that Argus is the unmaker. Azeroth would be the maker. They are the yin-yang, light, dark of the cosmos, essentially. That's what I believe. And so the next step would be, in the dream, after what we've done in the Shadowlands, because the Shadowlands, I think, was probably actually the next big step with what the Jailer tried to achieve. Us unifying and forging the Crown of Wills is probably actually a good thing for us. As much as I want the Primus to be a bad guy thing, I don't think they're gonna fucking do it. I think they went back on that idea. And unfortunately, I think we're stuck with a fucking lame-ass Primus who potentially is a good guy. And it just is what it is. But, forging that Crown of Wills, probably very important for the future of the Shadowlands and the flow of souls. I would think that that's probably going to have an effect on Azeroth as well. And then I think the dream, defeating Nimue. I think killing that thing that was ordering the dream, keeping it stagnant, keeping it in stasis, it would seem, was probably another thing. So that all occurring, this world tree being born out of the dream, but with also the essence from death, so you have this, this fusion. It seems that Azeroth, is accepting of that and is able to, through this deeper connection, maybe through Elune, through the Winter Queen, something along about those relationships. Maybe Azeroth is that third hidden sister of life. Maybe I've got the read wrong and she's not creation and destruction, but, regardless of whatever it is, I think that her being able to extend her power through the aspects is another I mean, that's huge for her to directly grant a blessing. That's what this is. Like, we're witnessing one of the first ever direct blessings of the goddess inside of our planet. Like, that's insane. Like, we're seeing her actually extend her hand to subjects at this point. And I think one of the key reasons why this happened was because when they fought Deathwing, you guys remember how they had to sacrifice their immortal essences so that they could fight Deathwing? And how after that conflict, they ended up being mortal? Remember how their eye glows like go away, and they were talking about how like the age of mortals has begun? The aspects, think about this. The whole plot of Dragonflight is the aspects pursuing aspectral powers, but what we see happen is they're not doing it for the same reasons that they did before. They're willing to sacrifice, put themselves on the line, even though they're mortal. They're willing to risk that. We see even ones, I hate to admit, like Alexstrasza overcoming some of their, deeper issues that have occurred over the years, right? So I think that witnessing them kind of go through these revelations and grow as people through the lens of mortal eyes is so important, I think, because it's really deep. I think it's those lessons that mortals live, those very short lifespans that they experience that gives them so much meaning. And I think that perspective is really important when you're looking at like the cycle of the cosmos, because if you don't have that compassion and that empathy and that like those emotions that mortals really can tap into, then the cosmos is a cold, sad, scary place. You need to have those things, I think from all sides. Like, I don't understand. Are the Titans gods or are the Titans different? I think it depends on how you define a god. I think that if you wanted to look at the most supreme being as like God, it would be Azeroth and Argus or whatever they are now. I think essentially that soul split, it was just two halves of a whole. So when it comes to the Titans, I think that they're the children, some of the children of those gods. Now, does that mean that they're also gods? Yes. But are they the highest level of gods? No, probably not. Just like the eternal ones. Only reason Zoval, I think, was such a powerful entity was because he was amped the fuck up with a shitload of anima, or demigods, whatever you'd want to call them. They're children of the gods, but they're not children of the gods with mortals. They're still aren't demigods. Am I wrong? Or I thought demigods were half mortal. Demigods means half god, half something. Yeah, I don't think it would be. I would say they're just gods then. They're just gods. They're just a different level of gods, which is a very common thing. Like this, that's not even like a. When you look at other fantasy settings, that's not even uncommon. It just that's usually have like it's very common that you have a creator god or a trinity or duality of creator gods. Sometimes creator, destroyer, preserver, and then from them other gods. It's very common. Primal gods versus pantheonic. Primal first ones created the next level like a pyramid. Essentially, yes. Konzu asks the player to question what gods are. Well, I think if you're looking at a universal scale, where does the true power lie? In this cosmos? In this universe? I think it truly lies with Azeroth. I think that's my opinion. The true power lies with the creator. And, in that respect, everything but she is probably, supposed to come to an end, maybe even die. So one could look at it as like maybe the Titans are not supposed to be inherently immortal. Maybe the Eternal Ones are not supposed to be inherently immortal. Maybe there's supposed to be even a cycle for them where they die. Like maybe we're in a state where gods exist that shouldn't, there's all there, the concept of a death of the gods, the twilight of the gods is not like not a foreign one either. So God is being worshipped? No? Well, that's what I think is so interesting about World of Warcraft is like, we don't really worship Azeroth. Do we? We worship the light. Some worship the Titans. Some worship the old gods. Like, who really worships Azeroth? But if you worship things of her making, does that go to her? And does it matter? The Tauren do. Well, the Tauren worship the Earth Mother, don't they? Bane called her the Earth Mother in BFA. I'll have to think about this. Because if they really, really believe that it's Azeroth, then that will force perspective shift in the way that I read everything about her.
The Earth Mother's dying, Cloud.
Yeah.
I know you can hear her crying out in pain.